I'm going to be watching myself play Path of Exile. So I haven't quite gotten the streamer thing down. I haven't quite learned how to talk while playing. That sort of multitasking is a little bit beyond me at the moment. But I'm just going to watch myself play and see if I can get inspired to really develop that sort of skill needed to stream. I always wanted to play video games when I was a kid. Like more than just play video games. I wanted to be a video game tester. I think all kids did. But I just played so many games when I was a kid, a lot of retro games, and it was always kind of a dream of mine to do things like the market is today. We take it a bit for granted, but when I first saw people going online and doing it, my first thought was, I wish that I could do that. I wish that I was streaming and playing video games and making a bunch of money off of it. I don't plan on making a bunch of money. I don't think I will make a bunch of money. I just don't have the capacity for it. I don't have the skills. Jafar away. Nasty butthole. Poon Daddy. Oh, people have been playing my account. Share my Steam account with some family members. Though some of the nasty names are mine. I won't say which ones. But no, it's so crazy just given the world we're in today, given the sort of state of things, because it's like, it's something that when you grew up in the like late 90s, early 2000s, this is kind of like beyond imagination. I thought that the only way of getting paid to play video games was to actually like help make them, or to try to be like a beta tester. But no, it turns out you can just play them and record yourself playing them, which is really cool. Yeah, no, I love. I came to Path of Exile. I found it when I was in college. Diablo 3 had just come out, and I was so underwhelmed by Diablo 3. I found it so lame. Something about it, because I played Diablo 1 and 2 when I was a kid, and when 3 came out, I was ecstatic, and then I actually started playing it, and it was just not worth the money that I paid for it. It was like, how do I put it? It was just bland, boring. I bet it gets interesting later. I've heard it gets testy boy, testy boy. I heard it gets interesting later, and especially with like Reaper of Souls. But it just, the story was kind of done at the second game. I didn't need a third game, and then I was like, oh, what are they gonna do? And the answer was just kind of repeat the same old, but in a more like felt boring way. There were quirks about Diablo 1 and 2 that really made it unique. That really made it yeah. Well, I mean, like Diablo 1 started it all, right? Diablo 1 was kind of like the first, like it was trying to be XCOM, but then as it kept going, like as they kept on with development, they realized, hey, what if the turn just didn't end? What if you just like everything acted at the same time, and it completely changed the genre? There's a whole video on it that's really interesting. So the first one started the whole genre, and the second one, even with stupid stuff like expiring characters and just like all the little quirks that happen, like when you get to Act 2 and you're not playing like one of a few classes, it just feels kind of it's kind of mixed. But when you get in your stride with the second game and you really get into it, it is just so fun. It is like incomparable. So I was waiting for that for the third game, and it was just like, you didn't have the sort of force of personality that you had with Bale. You didn't have like the sort of like all the events of the first game leading into the second game and becoming this massive world-spanning adventure. Now it's like, it's a world-spanning adventure, but like we've already defeated Diablo and we shattered his soul stone, and we defeated Bale, shattered his, defeated Mephisto, shattered his, and now we're just kind of repeating it again. And so I was really craving something new. And when I saw this was free, I heard it was good, so I was like, I'll give it a try. Um, by the way, if you see me suck at this game, it's because I haven't played it in years. Uh, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. No, I mean I beat this when it first came out. I got to the end of Act 4, I think was as far as it was. And my friends told me it went to like Act 10 or something, and I don't know. I never went back to it, and so it's been quite some time. So you're gonna see I'm relearning a lot of the controls here. Um, just kind of checking what kind of build that I want to make and how to play the game. Like I totally forgot how to use shift to stay in place and make attacks, so I'm just running about the map when I click on things. But no, this game came out and just like picking the characters and they go into their backstories that sent me right into Diablo 2, just like the how intense everything was just to start out with, and then crash landing on the shore, and then there are zombies everywhere, there are cannibals everywhere, criminals, and you're like crash landed into the dead center of it, ha ha ha. And you start with nothing. You don't have any, and it's not because, oh, I'm level 1 and so I have to. It's like literally they stripped you of all your things, kicked you off the boat, and you swam to shore, and you are just fighting for your life, and you find this like colony of prisoners here. I think this is a Australian New Zealand game, so it makes sense. But who did make this game? I don't remember. I think it's like Australian or something. Though lots of yep, game freezes. I remember that. I thought I was dead. I really thought I was dead. Oh yeah, you can see I'm not using health potions at all. I'm just completely. I was just completely fucked up. Sorry, I'm gonna try not to use too much language here. But yeah, so I don't know. This was just such an experience, and going through Rayclast, just figuring out like what the underlying story was, and the beast, and defeating it like from the inside. From what I remember of the game, I'm. This just sent me. This was like the true Diablo 3. This sent me back to what it felt like to play Diablo 2 specifically. Obviously, it's not Diablo 1. But it was... This whole game is magic. But you see, I'm really not good at it. And especially, so I've never played the Swashbuckler before. The first time I went through this game, it was the Witch. I went through the Witch as an Elementalist. I really kind of wanted to pick Necromancer because I liked having the summons. But just being the Elementalist Witch, I think I got my wand. I put a vulnerability to fire gem on it, and so not only was I hitting things with this ray of fire, but they were becoming weaker to fire as they were continuously hit by the ray, and it was just like so cool. Now I'm not the kind of person who gets really into the meta of games. You'll see every now and again I'm checking the sort of current meta builds of like, so, oh god, I have to heal. What are you doing? Sorry, I bet you're as frustrated as I am. But yeah, no, I've been checking like meta builds and seeing what's the most fun way to play, because apparently this gets really hard. Like right where I quit, apparently it just gets harder and harder and harder. It was pretty hard when I left it. I remember dying over and over with my witch. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting seeing how I go through this as the swashbuckler. I do like the double attack currently, just a whoosh, whoosh. Probably not going to keep that moving forward. It doesn't look like. I honestly have no idea. But as somebody who usually doesn't get into meta builds, I played World of Warcraft. I never did the raids, not through lack of trying. I just had no idea how. And honestly, if I were like a guild leader, I would kick me out because I was just like I non-committal and never really focused on it because my time was always occupied. I always had class or I always had other things. And I wasn't the sort of person to like give up my life on these things. And I got a lot of other things I like doing. I like writing, and I could get into that another time. But point being, yeah, no, I just love the atmosphere of this game. I love the just the rainy weather and the waves washing up on shore. It's just aesthetically really pleasing, and game design wise, it's actually really cool too. Because so one of the problems I have with modern games is they don't really know how to toe that line between open world and sort of railroad. And this, I think, especially with like its leveling system, you can see how they excel at this, because they have this like long sort of yeah. You can so the problem I have with like open worlds is represented in the branching path that you see in Path of Exile, where as you like go in like lots of different directions, you'll see it's largely very samey. It has to be, because if you're not railroading it, you can't really craft an experience. Everything becomes kind of it blends into each other. It's hard to balance a game around you being able to pick any given direction and it's all equally viable. It kind of turns everything into slop. As much as I did like Elden Ring, and as much as I did like Breath of the Wild, and all sorts of open world games, you can really see it. Where it's like, oh, I went into dungeon number 1000. What did I get? Oh, a 50th piece of poop. It everything is like a +1 to the same thing that you've been doing the entire time. So it's like, excuse me. No, it's just like, I'm trying to put this in a way that doesn't piss off like all the open world like Elden Ring fans, but like, if I can go north or south or east or west, it's hard to scale up enemies, and Elder Scrolls kind of remedied that by having everything level up with you. That was definitely the case in Oblivion, definitely the case in Skyrim, and Skyrim, I think. I forget if it did it in a little bit more of a nuanced way, but I think I remember like Oblivion was straight up just everything levels up. So if you choose never to level up, you can just run through things. Like you get really strong weaponry and then just take out all of the level 1 enemies. If I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while. Well, To be precise, it's been a while since I never completed that game. This is a recurring trend with me, is I have played a lot of games. I've either started them, like with Oblivion, I started it. With Oblivion, I was a kid. I ran straight to the Oblivion gate, and I just died. And then I was like, this game sucks, because I didn't understand open worlds at the time. But I watched my brother play a little bit. I've heard tons of reviews about the game, and I'll get to it eventually. There's a lot that I'm, as an adult, now that I have, well, I don't exactly have free time, but I've got a little bit more assurity in what my future looks like. Assurity, is that a word? I think it is. I'm more assured in what my future looks like. It means that I can just kind of relax and play games, not have to worry too much about all of the little things you do when you're a student. I'm not worried about, am I going the right direction? I know I am. And it's like, oh, are all of my exams, is everything passed? Yep, that's all passed. So really what it is now is just kind of going the way I'm going and having fun, and that's really something that I wish on everybody. I won't get too much into my personal life, but point being, I think that this game, specifically like the branching paths in Path of Exile, you can kind of see that train of sort of open world game design within the leveling system, where everything branches outwards and it all becomes like +1 strength or +1 agility or +1 magic, or and it just and it's just some variance of that. It'll be movement speed or attack damage or attack speed. Um, Everything levels up like fairly slowly, and you don't get anything like magnificent from the tree system until you get your own, if I'm remembering correctly, until you get your own subclass. And you can really sort of pick the direction you specialize in and what you're really good at. Now, again, maybe I'm totally wrong, but no. I liked the gem system. Like the gems seem they're not railroady. They're not linear necessarily. I mean, they level up on each gem levels up on a straightforward track. You go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. But as your armor changes out and you get stronger armor that has different nodes, different connections, you can put in different gemstones, which then like shape your gameplay. You're basically choosing your class abilities through the gemstones, and that's really cool because what that allows is that you can change your abilities like on the fly. Your character's always potentially in flux, but you want to stay with the gems you've been leveling, or instinctually, unless you've got a plan and know the meta and what have you, which I never do, except. Well, not even in this case. I say I'm going by the meta, but I'm really just winging it. Yeah, no. I I think that this game has impeccable game design, and it counters a lot of the complaints that I have with games. With regards to, if the system is too closed, it feels boring because you don't have any choices. But if it's too open, then every choice you make is exactly the same as every other choice. This straddles that line very, very nicely, and it gives you it gives you an ability to choose, where to put the item, where to put the gemstone, what it connects to, how you want your powers to be, your class powers. Yeah, it's a beautiful game, extremely well designed. I haven't played the second one. I know that's all the rage right now. I'm a little bit late on the streaming train for this one, but it's just like. I felt like I needed to revisit this before I moved on to the next one, because honestly I never finished this. I never got to like the 10th act, and that's a shame. Maybe I probably don't need it to go into Path of Exile 2, but I'd like to see this game through to the end. It meant something to me when I played it all those years ago. Anyway, I think I'll probably leave it there. Thanks for listening. I'm going to try to come out with more of these fairly regularly, so stay tuned.